Hello, this is Mark Skousen. I am the producer of FreedomFest, and we gather every year in July, this year in Memphis. And we're delighted to speaking to Larry Elder, who has spoken at FreedomFest a number of times. And he's going to be with us in Memphis on July 12th through the 15th. And we're really looking forward to having you come, Larry, especially as you're running for president of the United States. So tell us, Larry, what what do you find appealing about Freedom Fest? I know you've been involved on many occasions on our mock trial and speeches and so on. And what are you planning to do at this year's Freedom Fest?
Well, Mark, thank you for having me again this year, and thank you for not calling me the black face of white supremacy, as I've been called, as I've been called by the unfree Los Angeles Times. Freedom Fest is a gathering, I think, the largest gathering of like-minded individuals, individuals that believe in freedom, who believe in the First Amendment, who believe in the Second Amendment, who believe in the Fourth Amendment, and it's a way to engage people and exchange ideas. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be the keynote speaker. And I will be talking about my candidacy for the presidency in 2024. And the reason I'm doing this is because I believe that the current frontrunner, as much as I like much of what he did as president, in fact, almost all of what he did as president, I don't feel that a sufficient number of so-called swing voters in swing states will vote for him. And I fear that we're going to have a rematch and the same result that we had in 2020. And that is why I'm doing this. I've said this, Mark. I think if 45 walked on water, so many swing voters dislike him so much, they'd accuse him of not being able to swim. Now, I have no idea. I have no idea what to do about Trump derangement syndrome. Maybe someday somebody will develop a vaccine. But until then, I've asked people to ask themselves the following questions. Have you lost friends because of Donald Trump? Are you walking on eggshells at work because of Donald Trump? Do you have strained relations with relatives and family members because of Donald Trump? If the answer is yes, Houston, we've got a problem, and that problem is electability. And I intend to make the case that at some point during this long process, the Republican voters, and I think even the Republican candidates, are going to realize they need to rally behind a candidate whose last name is other than Trump so that we can win in November 2024. And I think I'm as likely to be that guy as anybody else. By the way, to that end, Mark, I need to get 40,000 individual donations. The donation can be as small as $1, but it has to be 40,000 individuals. And people can go to elderforpresident.com and make a $1 donation. At the very least, I can get up there on that debate stage, and I'll be talking about some of the things that I'm going to be talking about at Freedom Fest. And they include a full-throated refutation, denunciation, rejection of the narrative that Democrats always push, Mark, and that is that America is systemically racist. It not only is wrong, not only is it insulting, it is getting people killed. There's something called the Ferguson effect, and that's a phenomenon of police pulling back after there's a high-profile shooting in an area, whether it's in Ferguson, outside of St. Louis, or Chicago, or New York. Chicago, or New York, or Cleveland, and there is a data scientist who used to work for Thomson Reuters. I say used to because he got fired for what I'm about ready to say. He produced a paper, a big Black Lives Matter proponent. He supported Black Lives Matter, Mark, wrote a paper about what happens after the officers around the country are being accused of systemically racist. It's called the Ferguson effect or the George Floyd effect, and they pull back. And as a result, he documented literally thousands of what he called were excess deaths. That is, people who are dead who otherwise would not be dead if the police did their normal proactive policing. And most of these dead people are black and brown people, the people that people on the left purport to care about. The other thing, Mark, is the essential requirement that we have school choice, particularly in urban America. I'm not making these numbers up, Mark. There are 13 public high schools in Baltimore where 0% of the kids can do math at grade level. Nationwide, there's something called the National Report Card. It's called the National Assessment of Educational Policy. 85% of black 8th graders, these are 13-year-old kids, can neither do math nor read at grade level. This is a crisis. 53 government schools in Chicago where 0% of the kids can do math at grade level. This is a travesty for our republic going forward. And then finally, the 10,000-pound elephant in the room is the epidemic of fatherlessness. 40% of American kids enter the world without a father in the home married to the mother, 70% in the black community. And the stats are clear. A kid raised without a father is 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in jail. Now, what's happened? With our welfare state, we've incentivized women to marry the government. We've incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. And I'll be talking about these things during my keynote speech at Freedom Fest.
We're really excited to have you. And Larry, thank you for a little quick summary of what your talk is going to be about. And I know you're also going to be on our mock trial, which is open borders
That's right.
on trial.
That's right.
Sure that's a topic that you could cover.
And speaking of which, there is a commission called the U.S. Civil Rights Commission. And some years ago, Mark, they did a report on the impact of open borders, of illegal immigration. And on that commission are liberals, there are conservatives, and there are also moderates. All 3 of them agreed with the following proposition. The group most hurt by illegal immigration economically are black and brown people living in the inner city with high school or less education, because most of the illegal aliens have virtually no education. So they are competing against them for jobs. And the report concluded that there are 1 million fewer black people working in the inner city who otherwise would be working but for the presence of illegal alien labor. And illegal alien labor puts downward pressure to the tune of almost $2,000 per year on the salaries of people living in the inner city. So once again, the very left-wing policies, which are open borders, are hurting the very people that people on the left purport to care about, black and brown people.
Thank you, Larry. This is going to be great. We're really excited about having you, and we're also going to do a fundraiser for you, so looking forward to it.
I appreciate it. Don't forget, 40,000 individual donations, elderforpresident.com. The donation can be as little as $1. Come on, $1. Even if you want somebody else, don't you want me to get up there and talk about some of these issues?
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. See you soon.
Bye-bye.